She said it like she was talking about the weather. I'm thinking of going away for a few days, Alice said, standing by the sink with her hands in a wet coffee mug. It's not definite, just something I'm considering. A little space might help. I was sitting at the kitchen table, still in my work boots, half watching the news on the muted TV. I didn't say anything at first. I thought I misheard her. She turned to face me. Jake, I need to figure some things out. My name is Jake. I'm 43 years old, live just outside Richmond, Virginia, and up until that moment, I thought I was still married. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? What things? I asked, finally looking up at her. My voice came out flat, not angry, just hollow. Alice wiped her hands on a towel, slow like she'd practiced this part in her head. She didn't meet my eyes. Us, she said. This. I don't know if I'm happy anymore. I don't know if I've been happy for a while. My jaw tightened, but I kept my hands on the table. She wanted a reaction. I could feel it. Something big, some desperate plea or an argument to prove I still cared. I didn't give her one. She shifted her weight and kept going. I haven't made any decisions yet, okay? It's just a trial thing, a few days. I want clarity. I watched her. Everything about her seemed detached, like she was reading from a script. Her words were careful, her tone rehearsed. Even her face looked distant. I saw none of the usual frustration, no tears, no hesitation. Just done. You're going to your sister's? I asked. She paused. That was the moment, right there. No, she said. I'm going to see Greg. Greg, not a friend. Not a name I'd heard her say more than twice in the last year. But she said it like I should have expected it. Who's Greg? I asked, even though I already knew he wasn't just a coworker. A friend, she said. Someone I trust. He's helped me see some things more clearly. I'm not saying I'm choosing him, Jake. I'm saying I need to get some perspective. She waited. I just stared at the wall. Say something, she finally said. I stood up slowly and walked to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water. My hand didn't even shake. You packed already? I asked. She blinked, caught off guard. Not yet. I will tonight. I nodded once and walked out of the room. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I didn't give her what she wanted. Not yet. She didn't come to bed that night. I heard her walking around at 1 a.m, moving drawers, zipping bags, soft footsteps like she thought I was asleep. I stayed in the bedroom with the door shut, staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the quiet rustle of someone sneaking out of a life. By the time I got up, the sun was barely out, and the house already smelled like coffee. She was in the kitchen again, dressed and ready. Her suitcase was by the door. Her back was to me, pouring creamer into a travel mug. She had on makeup. Not heavy, just enough to hide tired eyes. Her hair was done, curled at the ends, something she hadn't bothered with in months. She wore jeans that hugged her hips tighter than her usual worn-in ones, and a jacket I didn't recognize. You're up, she said, turning like we were just two people having a normal Tuesday morning. I nodded and walked past her. Didn't say good morning. Didn't ask how she slept. I opened the front door and started loading her suitcase into the trunk without a word. She followed me out, holding her coffee like it was armor. I can get that, she said. I've got it. She watched me while I shoved her bag into the car. I noticed the second one tucked behind the driver's seat. Smaller, a purse, and an overnight tote. Looked more like she was headed for a weekend getaway than some soul-searching retreat. She adjusted her sunglasses on top of her head and glanced toward the street. I don't know how long I'll be gone. Could be a couple days, just depends. Sure. I didn't ask where she was staying. I didn't ask if she'd call. I didn't ask anything, and that seemed to bother her more than if I'd yelled. You're not going to say anything? I closed the trunk. Drive safe. Her mouth tightened, like she wanted a fight, like she needed one to feel justified. I wasn't giving her that. She leaned against the driver's side door. Jake, I'm not doing this to hurt you. I looked at her for the first time that morning. Her arms were crossed, her eyes too dry for someone walking out of their marriage. You already did. She flinched just a little, then got into the car. I stepped back and watched her pull out of the driveway. No wave, no glance in the mirror. When her car turned the corner and disappeared, I walked back to the house and shut the door behind me. Then I locked it. Not because I was angry, because that part of my life was officially outside, and I wasn't letting it back in. I stood there for a long moment, hand on the deadbolt. Then I went to the kitchen, poured out the rest of her coffee, dumped her mug in the sink. The house felt quiet, too quiet. But underneath the silence, something in me shifted. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't confused. I was done waiting to see what she wanted. I grabbed my laptop from the office, brought it to the kitchen table, and opened a new browser tab. Searched divorce attorneys near me, not to call one yet, just to start. Then I pulled out a legal pad and wrote 3 things at the top. Lawyer bank documents. I wasn't rushing. I wasn't acting on rage. I was just done playing the role. She walked out like she was on a break. I knew better. She didn't pack light for a maybe. She thought I'd be frozen in place when she got back. She was wrong. I didn't move from the kitchen table for an hour after she left. Just sat there staring at the screen, my fingers resting on the keyboard, letting the quiet sink in. I knew if I started digging, I wouldn't like what I found. But I also knew I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to send a text saying she needed a little more time. So I started with her laptop. She always left it on the coffee table, half open, screen smudged, no password. I flipped it open and scanned her recent browser history. Mostly social media and work stuff. But then I saw it. A bookmarked Gmail tab labeled temp email. I clicked it, logged in automatically. The inbox wasn't full, but it didn't need to be. There were 15, maybe 20 messages between her and someone named Greg C. Most of them were short, vague, nothing that screamed affair. But the tone told me everything. Last night stuck in my head. Wish I could say what I really want to. He doesn't get you, I do. They never said the word love, never talked about touching, or anything I could wave around in court. But it was all in there. The way she responded with 3 dots. The way she said, I need more of this. The way he called her Red, a name I hadn't used for her in years. I closed the tab and leaned back. This wasn't new. This wasn't about clarity. This had already started, months ago. I checked her phone next. She'd left it on the charger by the nightstand, probably too focused on her escape to remember. It was locked, but I'd seen her passcode 100 times. Same 4 digits, her dad's birthday. I typed it in and scrolled through messages. Nothing from Greg, not under Greg anyway. I looked through the contacts, found one saved as GM with no photo. Opened it, same writing style, same lines. Let me know when you land. Hope it's not weird tonight. Can't wait to see that look again. I put the phone down before I threw it. I wasn't stupid. I knew what emotional cheating looked like. I just didn't think she'd actually sink into it this deep, then turn around and blame it on me not feeling present. I went back to the laptop, opened a new tab, and typed in Greg C. Richmond. Didn't take long. LinkedIn, business consultant, speaks at small conferences about leadership and emotional intelligence. Lives in short pump, runs some podcast with a recycled title about building confidence. I skimmed through it, noting everything. His company name, office location, photos of him shaking hands with people like he's running for something. I clicked through every link. No social media under his full name, but I found a Twitter with the same profile picture, mostly motivational garbage and retweets of his podcast. But one tweet stood out from last week. Real connection doesn't confuse you, it centers you. Screw this guy. I saved screenshots, notes, folder on my desktop labeled Exit Plan. Then I opened another browser window and searched for divorce attorneys again. Found one with solid reviews, local, aggressive reputation, free consultation. I scheduled a call for the next morning. After that, I opened my bank app and started digging through our joint finances. She'd moved money last week. Small, nothing dramatic, but enough to raise an eyebrow. I made a list of every account with my name on it, wrote down passwords, changed the ones I could, set up a separate savings in my name only, transferred $5,000 from my personal checking. Every time I took a step, something inside me got quieter, not colder, just clearer, like fog lifting off a lake. I didn't call her, didn't text, let her sit in whatever fake clarity she thought she was chasing. She left looking for control, but she didn't take mine with her. The lawyer called at 10 on the dot. I was back at the kitchen table, same chair, same laptop. But something felt different this time. I wasn't digging anymore. I was building. Jake Palmer, the voice said through my speaker. Yeah, I'm here. This is Nancy Lyles. We spoke yesterday. Well, technically you filled out the form. I had a look. She didn't waste time with fake sympathy or drawn-out legalese. She was direct. Exactly what I needed. "I'll cut to it," she said. "If you're moving toward separation, the first step is clarity. You need to know what's yours, what's shared, and what she could try to touch." I told her what I'd already done. New savings account, changed passwords, pulled documents. She told me to keep going. "Pull credit reports for both of you," she said. "Photocopy everything. Tax returns, mortgage, insurance, your retirement accounts. Keep them off shared devices." I nodded even though she couldn't see me. "I've got a folder started." "Good. Don't assume she'll play fair," she added. "Even the calmest ones start grabbing when they realize it's real." I stared out the window while she talked. Front yard still, sun just starting to push through the trees. "You'll want to file first if possible. It sets the tone. Are you planning to?" "Yeah," I said. "Soon." "Then here's what I'd do." She went into it. The steps, the timing, how to handle communication. She said the word dignity like it was a weapon, not a weakness. By the time we hung up, I felt like I'd been handed a blueprint, not a plan to win, just a plan not to lose myself. I walked straight to the filing cabinet in the guest room, pulled everything, birth certificates, car titles, loan statements, stuff I hadn't touched in years. It felt mechanical at first, but as I stacked papers, scanned them, sorted them into clean digital folders, I realized something. This was the first time in a long damn while I was actually doing something for myself. Not for us, not for her. For me. I opened her calendar on the shared app. She hadn't deleted it yet. Looked like she'd been working late more than I thought. Thursday dinners that never happened. Weekend meetups she'd said were book clubs or errands. Greg wasn't new. She just stopped hiding him when she stopped caring about the fallout. That's when something clicked. This wasn't about being blindsided. I wasn't blind. I'd seen it. The cold shoulder, the constant criticism, the way she stopped laughing at anything I said months ago. I just didn't want to call it what it was. She left emotionally long before she packed her bags. I stood in the hallway holding the deed to the house in one hand and the marriage certificate in the other. One felt like a weight. The other felt like trash. I put the certificate in a manila envelope and shoved it in the back of the cabinet. Then I took the deed and filed it in my new folder labeled Me. I had just finished scanning the last of the tax returns when my phone rang. I almost didn't pick it up. The number wasn't saved, but I recognized the area code, same one my buddy Ethan used. I answered on speaker while saving the PDF to the divorce folder. "Jake," the voice said. Definitely Ethan. "Yeah." There was a pause. "You got a second?" "Go." "I didn't know if I should tell you this," he said, voice low, serious. "But I saw Alice yesterday. She wasn't alone." I didn't say anything, just sat there staring at the file names on the screen. She was at Short Pump Village, with a guy, tall, buzz-cut, button-up shirt, real handsy. They were walking out of that boutique wine place, laughing, like a date. "Greg?" I asked. "I'm guessing yeah." They got into his car. I followed him for a bit. He drove her to an apartment on Partridge Lane, same complex I used to live in. "She's staying there?" My jaw clenched, but I stayed quiet. It wasn't a surprise. I just hadn't pictured it yet. Her toothbrush in his bathroom, her slippers by his bed. "You good?" Ethan asked. "I'm fine. Thanks for letting me know." "You want me to—" "No," I cut in. "Don't do anything. I got it." We hung up. I stared at my phone for a minute before placing it down gently. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't pacing. I just sat. That was it. Not a trial, not clarity, not space. She lied. I stood up and walked to the window, watching the trees shift in the wind. The same ones I trimmed last spring while she was out with friends. I should have seen this coming from a mile out. I did. I just didn't want to name it. But now it had a name. Greg. I didn't call her, didn't text, didn't even feel the pull to. Instead, I pulled up my contacts and scrolled to Brianna, friend from high school, realtor now, smart, no nonsense, knew how to find things fast. "Hey," I said when she picked up. "You got a minute? For you, always. What's going on?" "I need to find a place. 1 bedroom, not huge, quiet, near the water, if possible." There was a beat of silence. "You okay?" "Getting there." "Rental or buy?" "Let's start with rental, month to month if you can swing it." "I'm on it. I'll text you a list by tonight." "Appreciate it." I hung up and grabbed a notepad from the drawer. Wrote down everything I wanted in a new place. No shared walls, simple kitchen, good locks, no memories. I didn't care what she was doing in Greg's apartment. I wasn't going to fight for her. I wasn't going to beg her to come back. She made her choice when she parked her suitcase next to his bed. I started boxing up my office, just the stuff that mattered. Laptop, tools, photos of my dad, my old baseball glove. I wasn't leaving tonight, but I was leaving soon, on my terms. As I packed, it hit me. I wasn't married anymore, not really, not where it counted. The text came through just after 9 in the morning. Alice. Hey, I think we should talk when I get back. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then locked my phone and set it face down on the table. Not, how are you? Not, I miss you. Not even sorry. Just a casual announcement, like we were coworkers setting up a meeting. I didn't respond. A few minutes later, she followed up. Alice, can we sit down tomorrow night? Still no apology, no explanation. Like she expected everything to pause while she figured herself out. Like I was just a placeholder until she made up her mind. I finally replied. Me? Sure, let me know when you're back. That's it. She didn't respond. I sat back in the chair, arms crossed, watching sunlight stretch across the kitchen floor. Part of me expected to feel something sharp, anger, sadness, something. But all I felt was distance, not numb, just done. She really thought I'd still be sitting here, heart cracked open, waiting for her to bring clarity down from the mountaintop. Instead, I felt clear as hell. I spent the rest of the morning cleaning out the guest room closet, stacking old photo albums and gift bags from birthdays long past. Found an anniversary card from her tucked inside one of the boxes, dated 3 years ago. She'd written, "You still get me, even when I don't get myself." Guess that changed. I tossed the card into the shred pile. By lunch, I'd cleared most of her old decorations and knickknacks from the living room. Not in some angry purge, just quiet removal. Stuff she'd placed there to make the house ours. It hadn't felt like ours in years, not since she started looking through me instead of at me. Not since I became the safe option instead of the person she wanted. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I hadn't been seen in this marriage for a long time. She didn't ask how my day was anymore. Didn't notice when I started eating dinner in silence or coming home later from work. I stopped trying to make jokes during movies because she stopped laughing. I'd been reduced to background noise, and she didn't even hear it. The scariest part? I got used to it. That was the real damage. Not Greg, not the affair. The slow, quiet erasure of who I was. I sat on the back deck with a cold soda and watched the trees sway, feeling more present than I had in years. No ring on my finger, no ache in my chest. Just a list in my pocket and a future that no longer involved begging someone to pick me. My phone buzzed again. Alice. Thanks. I'll be home around 4 tomorrow. Still no emotion. Still trying to set the schedule like she was calling the shots. I didn't reply. Let her wonder. Let her feel that edge she wasn't expecting from me. She thought she'd come home and I'd be waiting to hear her decision. But I wasn't standing in limbo anymore. I was already out. The only thing left was the formality of saying it out loud. I closed my eyes and listened to the birds, letting the silence sit on my shoulders. There was no dread about her return, no fear about the conversation. She thought I was still the man she left behind. She had no idea who she was walking back to. I was in the garage wiping down my drill set when I heard her car pull in. No rush to the door, no pacing. I just finished the rag in my hand, set it down, and walked inside through the laundry room. By the time I reached the kitchen, she was stepping through the front door with her bags. Her hair was tucked behind one ear like she always did when she was nervous. The second suitcase, smaller, the overnight tote, was missing. She looked around the house like it was unfamiliar, like something had shifted and she couldn't figure out what. "Hey," she said, voice too light. "I'm back." I nodded once. "You hungry?" She blinked. No, I ate on the road." I stepped aside so she could drag her suitcase down the hallway. She hesitated for a second before walking past me. I caught the quick glance she gave the living room. Some of her trinkets were gone. She noticed. She didn't ask. When she came back out, she leaned against the counter and folded her arms. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah. You?" "Yeah," she said too fast. "I mean, it was good to have space. I think it helped." I grabbed a glass from the cabinet, filled it with water. That's good, I said. She watched me like she was waiting for the explosion that wasn't coming. So, she started, shifting her weight. I know that probably didn't feel great, me leaving like that. I shrugged. You did what you thought you needed. I wasn't trying to hurt you, Jake. Things were feeling off for so long, and I didn't know how to talk about it without it turning into a fight. There it was, her opening move. This isn't just about me card. I didn't bite. Maybe you should have tried anyway, I said calmly. She looked down, then back at me with that forced softness she used when she was trying to sell something. I think part of me wanted to know what it would feel like, to be with someone who really saw me. I gave a short laugh, no humor in it. Funny, I said. I've been wondering the same thing. That shut her up. She looked down at the floor again, arms tightening. Jake, I didn't go there to start something new. I needed clarity. You got it? I think so. I leaned back against the sink, arms crossed. And now? She hesitated again. I want us to talk. I think we still have something worth saving, don't you? She was still trying to set the tone, still trying to make it about mutual choices instead of the fact that she walked out of this house and into another man's bed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't say the things I wanted to. I just looked at her like she was someone I used to know. I think we're past talking, Alice. Her mouth opened, then closed. You're not angry? She asked, confused. No. You're not hurt? I picked up the glass of water, took a sip, and set it back down. I said. But I'm not going to keep bleeding just because you haven't figured your stuff out. That landed harder than yelling ever would have. She stood there, quiet, arms still crossed like she was cold. I didn't expect this, she said quietly. I nodded. I know. She stayed there a little longer, probably hoping I'd say something softer, some line that gave her a chance to cry and say I didn't mean it. But that man, the one who waited for her to come back and fix everything, he was gone. She followed me into the living room like she was waiting for some big emotional release. I sat down in the armchair, pulled my laptop onto my lap, and opened the folder labeled Alice and Greg. She stood there, arms still crossed, trying to keep whatever power she thought she had left. I want to be honest, she said. Great, I replied, clicking open a screenshot. Let's start here. I turned the screen toward her. Text messages, her name, his words. Last night stuck in my head. Wish I could say what I really want to. I'll always choose you. Her face shifted. Not shock, she already knew. Just panic that I knew. I flipped to the next one. Her reply, you see me in ways Jake never did. Still quiet. Want to keep going? I asked. Jake. I opened another file, a photo. The one she thought she deleted from her shared folder. Her and Greg on some patio at night. Glass of wine in her hand, his arm around her waist. Her face tilted toward him like it belonged there. You saved that? She asked. No, you saved it. You just hid it in the wrong folder. She stepped back a little, like she needed space to come up with a defense. I wasn't trying to replace you. I raised an eyebrow. You just needed a backup in case the marriage thing didn't work out. She snapped, voice tight. I was confused, Jake. You shut down. You didn't even try anymore. You think this was all just me? No, I said, calm as ever. I think it was us. But I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't walk out of this house with a suitcase and call it clarity. She scoffed. You're overreacting. I set the laptop down and stood up. Number? I've been overreacting for years, staying in a marriage where I was invisible and still trying to make it work. That was the overreaction. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I kept going. I let you check out emotionally while I covered for both of us. I made excuses when you were cold, when you pulled away, when you stopped talking, stopped laughing, stopped showing up. She dropped her arms finally, like her defense was wearing thin. I was lonely too, Alice, I said. I just didn't fix it by crawling into someone else's bed. She sat down on the edge of the couch, suddenly soft. I didn't mean to hurt you. I really didn't. That doesn't change the result. I didn't know what I needed. Then you had no business deciding for both of us. Her eyes started to gloss over. There it was. The turn, the helpless tone, the soft plea, the angle shift from defensive to pitiful. I just felt like I was disappearing, she whispered. Funny, I said. So did I. Difference is, I didn't run. She looked up at me, really looked, like maybe she finally saw what she broke. Are we really done? She asked. I didn't hesitate. Yeah, we're done. She bit her lip and nodded slowly, like she was trying to find one more crack to wedge herself into. Some part of her still believed this was a rough patch, that she could cry, say the right thing, and I'd fold. But there was nothing left to fold. I'm not proud of what I did, she said. Neither am I said, for staying this long. She didn't speak again. I walked past her, closed the laptop, and carried it to the office. Behind me, I heard her breathing change, short, sharp. Maybe she was crying. Maybe she wasn't. Didn't matter anymore. The damage was old. The ending was late. But it was happening now, finally, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the one clinging to hope. The next morning, I walked into Nancy's office, signed the divorce papers without blinking, and handed them back across the desk. No second thoughts? She asked. None. She nodded and slid the folder into her drawer. Just like that, it was in motion. No more waiting for Alice to explain or apologize or spin things her way. I didn't need her permission to end what she already wrecked. I went back to the house, packed only what I needed, tools, clothes, a few personal things, and left everything else untouched. The wedding album stayed in the drawer. Her photos, her books, her glass vases on the mantel. I didn't take any of it. Let her sit with the life she built and then buried. I didn't leave a note. Didn't owe her one. The new apartment was 2 hours east near the coast. Nothing fancy, just quiet. One bedroom, clean walls, no memories. First night there, I sat on the balcony with a cheap beer, listening to the sound of water and wind instead of her voice picking me apart piece by piece. There was nothing dramatic about the move. No dramatic last goodbye, no shouting match. I didn't need closure, I just needed distance. The days moved easy after that. I cooked simple meals, got up early, walked to the pier, started sleeping better, and then, 2 weeks later, she texted, Alice, can we talk? No punctuation, no apology. Just a hand reaching out to pull me back under. I read it once, locked the screen, and slid the phone across the table. There wasn't anything left to talk about. I'd already answered her when I packed that bag, when I filed those papers, when I stopped trying to fix something she didn't respect. Silence was the only thing I had left to say, and it was enough.